Hello everyone and welcome to the Kiki London YouTube channel. My name is Amanda and in today's video I'm sharing with you the brand new water decal launch. So today Kiki London launched 8 new water decal sheets which mostly have a autumn Halloween vibe, but I've been so excited to share them with you because I know that we all love new launches. So let's take a look. First up we have Trick or Treat, and as you can see they've got lots of cute Halloween designs on here with a little bit of a spooky vibe to them. I love that it's got a good mix of pumpkins, witchy things, ghosts, that kind of stuff. Then we have Spooky Pumpkins. Now these ones are my favourite. I love pumpkin nails at Halloween and autumn, and I love that these ones kind of just look a little bit different than some that I've seen. Then we have the cute Gothic mix, and to me this one has a little bit of a boho vibe. It's very, very cool. Then we have the Halloween costume mix, couldn't get my words out there, which is a bunch of different Halloween characters in their costumes. Then we have the Sunflower Pumpkins. I really like these. I think they're kind of somewhere, they're a little bit more fall than Halloween, which I really liked. And then we have the Sunflower mix, and I love that these ones included lots of orange and red sunflowers as they have that bit more of an autumn rather than some summer vibe. Then we have the Crystal Moonstones. I was really interested in these ones as they've got a lot of detail in them, and I love that whole crystal celestial vibe. And then lastly we have the Pastel Zodiacs, which are a mix of all the pastel zodiac signs. So let's jump into the designs. First up we're going to be using the Trick or Treat mix, and I do use all of the decal sheets apart from the Pastel Zodiac ones. I left those ones out as I wanted the video to be predominantly Halloween and autumn, so I think I'll do a separate video coming up soon using those zodiac ones, as it will be fun to do a zodiac inspired set of nails. But onto this one, I'm coming in with coconut, and I've done 2 thin coats of coconut, so I've got a nice bright white base. Coconut is the brightest white that Kiki London offer, so it is a brilliant base for your decals as they do pop over lighter and brighter colours. So I try to opt to use more whites or nude shades, but you will see throughout the video we do use them over a few different colours, and they do still look really nice, but the colours and vibrancy does pop a little bit more over a white or lighter shade base. Another thing about the water decals is I personally like to try and cut them as close to the image as possible. This way you cut off a lot of that clear excess paper, and then it's going to lie a lot smoother and a lot neater on the nail. Once we have got it cut out, I've placed it face down onto my jelly stamper, and I've dampened the back of it with some water, waited a few seconds, and then that backing paper slides off easily. And then when you are using the stamper method, you're able to easily press down that image onto your tacky gel polish base, and you can see it lies down absolutely beautifully. I did just smooth it out with my Kiki London Silicone Tool, which is another must have for your water decal application. Now I am going to seal in this water decal using my no wipe matte top coat, and if you didn't want to do any other nail art to the design, you could simply apply your water decals and have a nice, simple, easy nail art design. I did decide I wanted to add on a little bit of hand painting to this one, so that's why I opted to use my matte top coat, because it's going to seal in the water decal and it's going to leave us with a nice matte surface, which is a lot easier in my opinion to hand paint over the top of. Then using the lovely ruby red, I'm going to just paint on a really simple devil towel down at the bottom of the nail and devil horns up at the top of the nail, just so they kind of work with that little Halloween costume of the devil that we've got going on the water decal, but add a little something extra to the nail. Now of course you can just use the water decals on their own, but I do like using them usually with a mix of either foils or stamping or a little bit of hand painted nail art. They work brilliantly with glitters as well. So for the purpose of the video, I didn't want to just stick down water decals on the nails. I wanted to try and give you guys some ideas of what I would do with the water decals and maybe a little bit of nail art inspiration, and it also gives me a chance to share lots of the autumn and fall gel polish colours with you guys as well. Ruby red especially is a gorgeous colour for the autumn and winter months. So once I've finished painting on those little hand painted details, I've cured that, and then I'm just coming in with another coat of the no wipe matte top coat, because I did decide I wanted to keep this now matte. But if you did want to keep it glossy, this is what it would look like glossy. So of course you could use your no wipe rubber top coat or the classic no wipe top coat for a glossy top. But how cute does it look matte. I absolutely loved it. Moving on to the second design, we're going to be using both of these decals. So we're going to be using the Gothic, the cute Gothic mix and the spooky pumpkins. But for my base for this water decal design, I'm going to be doing an ombre with orange soda and tea rose. And then of course, we're going to use the trusty ombre brush to create a nice blend between those two colours. So I'm starting off with orange soda, and I'm placing the orange soda up at the cuticle area and taking it roughly halfway down the nail. And then I'm going to fill in the rest of the nail with the tea rose, making sure that those colours meet. You don't want to have a gap between the two colours. You want to make sure that they hit each other, but do always check that your brush hasn't picked up any of that first colour that you pop down before you pop it in your bottle. Then using my ombre brush, I always start by blending out where the two colours meet. Then I clean my brush off, and I'm going to take that transitional shade that we've created in the centre down into the tea rose, and you can do the same as well, taking the transitional colour up into the orange soda. I'm just kind of, this blend was very, very easy, to be honest. I was surprised, but these two colours, they kind of just melted into each other and created a really nice nude and orange ombre. So I definitely think I'll be doing this colour combination again before Halloween finishes. Once we've cured that first coat, I'm going to come in again and do the second coat, repeating exactly the same steps as before. Now, when I do my first coat of an ombre, I never stress too much about getting it perfect, as I never find that the first coat looks perfect. So don't stress or waste too much time trying to perfect the blend on that first coat, because the second coat, the ombre and the blend, is a lot easier. So I'm doing exactly the same again, and you can see the opacity is going to improve as well on that second coat of colour. But I'm just blending them in. I do spend a little bit more time on the second coat because this is the coat of the ombre that you're going to see. So I do spend a bit more time perfecting that. And then once I'm happy with it, I do leave it to sit for a few seconds before popping it into cure, just to minimize those brush strokes. Then taking one of the spooky pumpkins, I'm placing that down onto my stamper, moistening the back of it with my round nail art brush and some room temperature water. And then after a few seconds, that backing paper peels off easily. And I'm going to place this one down at the tip of the nail. It's quite a large decal, but with the stamper method, I find that you get virtually no creases or bubbles in the water decal application, and the stamper method always works for me as long as I have a tacky gel polish base. So once you've cured your gel polish and you're left with that tacky base, the stamper method for water decals I find so simple. But if I don't have a tacky base, or if I'm applying a lot of decals on the one nail, I'll opt to use the traditional water decal application method. I do think we'll do that further along in the video as well. So then I've popped the spider web from that cute Gothic mix up in the corner, and I wanted this to overhang slightly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my round nail art brush with a little bit of acetone and just melt off that slight area that was overhanging off the nail. You could also file or trim this as well, but I do always find it easier just to melt it away using a little bit of acetone, especially when you're working on yourself or a client up in that cuticle area. And then to seal these in, I'm going to opt for the No Wipe Rubber Top Coat. This is my preferred top coat over any kind of water decals or nail art, because it's that little bit thicker. It seals everything in and leaves you with a nice even base and even surface, sorry. And then right before popping that into cure, I'm going to pop down a little crystal. These are also from Kiki London as well. I'll leave them linked in the description box below. But I just popped that little crystal down into the wet top coat and then cured it, just to add a little something extra. On to the third now, I'm taking Parrot Green and Black Cherry. Now these two colours scream witchy vibes to me. So I'm going to do a vertical ombre with them, but we are going to come over the top with a bit of a shimmer. So I'm not stressing too much about creating a perfect ombre, which was great because these two colours were a little bit tricky to ombre together. They are very different, and I find that the more contrasted, sort of the more opposite on the colour wheel that colours are, the harder they are to blend together. So I'm going to do my best, but this ombre was a little bit tricky, but I'm doing exactly the same steps as I normally do when I do an ombre. So I come straight down the middle where my two gel polish colours meet and try to blend out that line where the two colours meet and create a third transitional colour. Then I'll clean off my brush and I'll take that transitional colour into the Parrot Green, and then clean off my brush and take that transitional colour into the Black Cherry. Then I'll clean off my brush again, and then I'll just be touching up areas where I want the blend to look a little bit better. So I did spend a little bit of time trying to get this to look as good as I could for an ombre that I personally found a little bit tricky. It does work. You can still create a nice ombre, and I reckon once it was top coated it would look nice, but I knew that in my mind I was coming over the top with Moonlight Pearl anyway, as I wanted a shimmery effect, so I didn't want to spend too much time perfecting it. On to the second coat, exactly the same again. We're coming in with the black cherry down one side and the parrot green down the other. I'm really feeling a witchy set of nails using these two colours. Like, imagine these two colours with a little bit of black, maybe a little bit of glitter, some foils. I think they would make a really fun witchy set of nails, so I'm hoping that I get around some time before Halloween to try and give that a go. Again, where those two colours meet, starting off with my ombre brush, blending out the centre, creating that transitional shade. This kind of transitional shade that this created was a bit of a brownie colour, so then you can blend each of the colours into that centre and you get a nice gradient. Whenever you are doing any kind of ombre, I feel like you could probably play around with it a little bit too much at times, trying to perfect that blend. Now, when I said before I leave my gel polish to sit for a few seconds before popping it into cure, this also helps those two colours blend together, so it helps everything self-level and soften a little bit. So if you're not 100% happy with your ombre, just wait a few seconds, let everything self-level out, your brush strokes self-level out, and then pop it into cure, and you'll find that it kind of looks a little bit better than spending a lot of time faffing about with that ombre. Now, I was fairly happy with how this turned out in the end, so I'm then going to pop that in to cure for 30 seconds. And then, like I said, I wanted a shimmer effect over the top of this, so I'm going to come in with a gorgeous Moonlight Pearl. I love the effect that this gives off over a lot of the colours that I've tried it over the top of, to be honest. I usually find that I pop it over a dark colour or I pop it over white, and it gives off a beautiful pearlescent effect. But I loved the effect that it gave off over this one because it tied in with that whole witchy vibe, gave it that pearlescent sparkle, and I really felt as though it worked for what I had in mind. So once I've popped that over the top, I'm going to pop that in to cure for 30 seconds. Then we're going to take the Trick or Treat decal mix, and I cut out 3 of the more witchy designs that are on there. So we've got the cauldron, the broomstick, and the witch's hat, and I'm going to show you guys how I apply all of these decals without wasting too much time. So this is how I do it for quickness. I'll pop all of them down onto my stamper, but I will space them out apart. Then I'll wet them all at the same time so that the water is soaking into the images. Then I'll just peel off the backing paper of the first one that I want to use, line that up and press it down, and then I'll peel off the backing paper for my second one, line that up and press it down, and then it had already pulled off the backing paper for my third one, so I can then come in, line that up and press it down. So when you know that you're going to be using a couple of water decals together in a quick space of time, whether it be on one nail or across a couple of nails, I find it a lot quicker to stick them all down. The maximum I probably do at one time is 3, but sticking them all down on my stamper, and then you're able to just quickly go without having to keep stopping, cutting them out, wetting them and things like that. And then once again, we're going to seal them in using the No Wipe rubber top coat. So I'm just popping a thin layer of that, and then I'll pop that in to cure for 60 seconds. And just look at the shine that gives off. I love the effect. I love that shimmery effect with the layered water decals. Now we're going to move on to the crystal moonstones. Now these aren't full on Halloweeny, but I do feel as though all the crystals and the celestial vibe can be quite popular at Halloween. It's definitely a design that I love all year round. These decals are definitely me. So I was really excited to see these included in the new launch. So for the base for this one, I'm going to come in with beautiful vintage white. I felt as though vintage white looked really pretty against that decal sheet. It's kind of like an off-white. It's got a bit of a pinky purpley undertone to it. It's a gorgeous color, and I thought as though it would work the best as the base for those water decals. These water decals are quite detailed, you know, the images have got a lot going on in them, so I wanted to make sure that they would still pop and that you would still be able to see all of those decals. So that's why I went for a nice light shade base. Then I do want to do a hint of hand painting on this, so I'm going to come in with the beautiful Sapphire Sparkle. Now this is a gorgeous blue shimmery glittery gel polish. It goes with that whole moonstone crystal vibe, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my striped liner brush and I'm just going to carve out a section across the cuticle area and then across the tip of the nail, so that we're not going to draw too much attention away from the water decals, but we're adding in this beautiful deep blue with the sparkles in there. I felt as though it just worked really well with the water decals, and this is definitely the kind of design that I would wear on myself. It's really simple simple to do. It's not as hard to do as, say, a French, because you're only having to create one half. When you got to do a French, you're matching up both sides, so it can be a little bit trickier. This is kind of similar to doing a half French. You've only got to come in with a quick swoop with your stripe liner brush, carve out a section. It's really, really simple to do, but I feel as though it really adds a little something extra to the nail. It looks harder than what it is, but it's quite an elegant and classy look as well. And I really loved how the Sapphire Sparkle looked against that vintage white. I've never done this color combination before. So I'm going to pop that in to cure for 30 seconds. And then I've cut out the two decals that I wanted to use. I love the one with the little moon and the crystals. And then I really loved the blue on those roses and the moth in there as well. Again, because I'm applying two decals to the one now, I'm going to pop them both down on my stamper at the same time and moisten the back of them with some room temperature water. You really don't need a lot of water. I like scrubbing it in with either the round or the angled nail art brush, because I find it just speeds up the process. You really don't have to wait long, just give it a little scrub in, and then that backing paper peels off easily. And for a large water decal, this pressed down absolutely beautifully. The Kiki London water decals have a really thin film that they're printed on, so I find that they stick down effortlessly. There's no rigid backing sheet or anything that's sticking up and making it tricky to get in place. They stick down really effortlessly. They mold around the apex part of that nail effortlessly. And then I do always like to just go over the top of them with my silicone tool, just to make sure they've made good contact and just to make sure there aren't any creases. But especially when doing the stamper method, I find I get barely any creases or bubbles. Now I did want to add a few more crystals onto the nail as well on this one. So I've taken, I think these are called Crystal Clear. They are the glass crystals from Kiki London. And I've just tipped some of them out into my palette. If you purchase these, they come, the size is all separate, but I mixed all mine together in a pot just because I find that a lot easier to use. And then I've put down a layer of the No White rubber top coat, and then using the dotting and gem tool, I'm picking up my crystals, picking out the sizes that I want. I wanted just a few up on top of that Sapphire Sparkle, and then one in the center of the rose and one down with the crystals. Then I'm just using the dotting tool end to get them in place, and then I'll cure that for 60 seconds. And that top coat is then going to seal in all of the water decals and bring the shine to our nails, and then it's also going to hold those crystals in place. On to the last design, we are going to use the sunflower mix and the sunflower pumpkins. I've already done my base for this design and I went for the beautiful Ballet Charm. So I've already done 2 coats of that, and then I'm going to take the gorgeous pumpkin spice, because of course if we're doing a pumpkin design, we need pumpkin spice in it. This is a gorgeous pumpkin orangey brown shade, absolute must have for autumn. And then we're going to do a French on this design, so we're going to take the Kiki London French brush. So I'm going to load up my French brush and I'm literally going to press down onto the nail and drag down to create a French tip. Now what I wanted to do though with this French tip is I want to bring the sides of it down a little bit. So I'm going to switch to my strap liner brush and just pull on the sides gently, just to make it look a little bit more elongated, because we're working on quite a long nail. I find the French brush creates a perfect French every time on a short and medium length nails, but on longer length nails I do like to just bring my wings down a little bit, and I find that a lot easier to do with the strap liner brush. So I'm just doing exactly the same again for the second coat, loading up my brush, and then I'm going to line it up with the curve, press down, pull back, and that creates that perfect smile line. Then switch into my strap liner brush just to bring those wings down of that smile line just a little bit more, just so it looks a little bit deeper. Obviously when it comes to a French, it's a little bit of a personal preference whether you want a more deep or a more natural smile line. And then I did just do a little bit of cleanup using some alcohol on my round brush there. Then I've cut out the 3 decals that I want to use, and this time I've opted to show you guys how to apply them the traditional way. So the traditional way, you want to cut out your water decals close to the image as possible, exactly the same as before. Then you're going to pop them in a bowl of room temperature water for around 10 seconds. And then I'm just taking some tweezers, picking that up out of the water, sliding off the backing paper and then placing it down on the nail. I do find this way you can move your water decal around a little bit more if you don't like where it's placed. When you press down your water decal with the stamper, I find it draws a lot of the water out because the stamp head's sticky. and then you can't really move your water decal around too much. So doing it the traditional way does mean if you're not 100% happy with how you've positioned your water decal, you can move it around a little bit more. But I do find when I do it this way, I have to spend a little bit more time getting out any creases. So I do spend a little bit more time with my silicone tool edging out any creases or bubbles that are in the nail. So here, as you can see, I'm just moving that snowflake. It's definitely not a snowflake. I'm already thinking of winter and Christmas. I'm moving that sunflower into place just so I want it so it's half and half over our orange French tip and our nude base. Then I'm just popping in that tiny little leaf that we also cut off as well, as I want to include that in the design, and I kind of want that falling away from the sunflower. So I'm going to place that down where I want it, and I do find it a little bit tricky sometimes to get the water decals off the tweezers this way. Definitely since discovering the stamper method, that is definitely my preferred method for water decals. Again, using that silicone tool to make sure it's made good adhesion with the nail, and then I left it a couple of seconds to dry because there was quite a bit of water on the nail, and then that will evaporate, or you can dab it off with a lint-free pad. And then once again, we're going to do exactly the same as before and seal it in using our no wipe rubber top coat. And how gorgeous does pumpkin spice look with these pumpkin water decals? I'm absolutely loving them. So there are our 5 fall/Halloween nail art designs. Let me know in the comments below which one was your favorite, and don't forget to check out the Kiki London website and grab yourself some new water decals. I hope you all enjoyed today's video. If you have any questions, I'm happy to help in the comments below. If you did enjoy the video, please do give it a thumbs up, and if you aren't already subscribed to the channel, I would absolutely love it if you hit that subscription button. Have a wonderful day, take care, lots of love, bye bye.